feels like you need to fight yourself a blind pick on the bot lane. We've had a lot of them, but typically they're the ones on the ban list. You can blind pick a Lucian on a lot of this stuff. So I think they're just avoiding it and just trying not to be the one that swings first.
Do you know what the blindable bot lane is?
Yeah,
Jinbard. Oh, maybe,
no,
maybe not
it's
blindable.
not.
Maybe not blindable. But it is a bot lane, and I enjoy it, so they should lock it in. That's the logic we're running with here. Nautilus locked in as LNG's first pick, and for a second there, we hovered the Kai'Sa, but not willing to go for that one, instead go for the Karma in the mid lane.
Does mean that you won't have yourself the Karma flex between mid lane and support. On 14-4, of course, Karma got a couple of nerfs, but still fine in multiple different roles all the same. Now with the Nautilus locked in, of course, you can have Kai'Sa Nautilus as a duo, and that's something which has been probably Kai'Sa's best duo across all time. However, when you're locking in that Nautilus, it does mean potentially you can unlock some other melee supports that kind of go alongside in lane. We have seen more of this Alistar coming through. JinJiao no stranger to the champion, and melee supports in the LPL have changed the way that we've played the game. We've criticized a lot of teams the way that they've set up fights. Having melee supports that can face check and get vision down can change the way you set up the fights as well, alongside being able to defend champions like the Smolder, which we could see locked in. Now I think you lock in the Kai'Sa, who is good versus the Alistar, very good at shooting through frontline, but then also very good with the Nautilus as well as the Kai'Sa Nautilus duo. This should be an easy lock-in.
So there we go. LGD commit to the matchup. They've got the Alistar for peel and all of that. You know, they've certainly got reason to go for this Smolder. They're trying to set it up, but equally, LNG, they've got the setup for the Kai'Sa as well with that Nautilus. And as well, like Karma, pretty great for matching the poke. Like, you could theoretically go for the AP Kai'Sa too, so just having more poke to work with can be nice, although with the poke Karma, maybe you don't go AP. But also having those shields to set Kai'Sa up, peel away. We'll see. Rel banned off the table.
I think you also maybe want to either fourth pick or ban out the Xinsao. I think we saw how difficult, well, on either side actually. I think that potentially LGD don't want to play against that because Xinsao kind of denies Smolder the Q range and means they have to go into the Crescent Guard to deal significant damage. That's not something you really want. Also very good at 3v3ing bot side. I think a lot of these jungle kind of frontline champions could really throw a curveball to the Smolder in this draft.
Tanks off the board here. Remember, game number 1, Vi was actually banned from WeiWei. And that is a pick that goes really well with the Kai'Sa. Like, Vi not only sets up for the Kai'Sa, but also you kind of become de facto dive buddies when you go for that Vi there. Could be a potential ban from the side of LGD, but instead getting rid of the Jax here. So looking towards top lane, looking towards jungle. You could even wait and have counter pick for your jungle. Depends if you want to go for the first pick or whether you want to go for the counter pick. The H-Box already locked in on the side of LGD.
I mean, you could lock in that backline dive combo, the Visor. But either way, you're looking for something that can get past the Alistar, if at all possible, onto the Smolder. Now, Alistar can block a lot of dashes. You can block like a Xinsao E, or you can just kind of pulverize them out of it. The thing is, you can't do that with a Vi ultimate. Now, if you get the Flash ultimate, Smolder is getting hit one way or another, and that will set up for Gala to dive in. Nautilus can do the same thing with his point-and-click ult. It just means that there's a lot that you have to be respectful of. So what do you do now? You have a jungle pick left. There is a chance you could... You know what? I almost wouldn't mind something like an Ivern right now. You've got double 80 carries. You have a front line with Engage already. You need something to save your carries. I wonder if Meteor does something different. It's going to be a different tree.
Okay,
it's going to be the Maokai, but I really think you need to be defensively mindset now. And I wonder if having the Enchanter from the jungle could have changed things.
Still get a tree at least, so you were half right. You're half right on that one. Definitely similarly
barking up the wrong tree.
But hey. That would have been perfect if there was a Defiri lock-in as well somewhere.
Yes.
Oh, the Camille comes on through though. This is something Zika has been playing a bit in solo queue. We were talking about how Zika wants to be playing these carries. We are finally getting into this meta where Camille can start to come through. Support Camille has been talked about a lot, but top lane Camille just as viable.
Well, I mean, it's YSKM that's really revolutionized the top lane with Camille in the LPL this split. He was the first person to bring it out, and he was beating the likes of your Cassantes that being blind picked in. It is another champion which can get onto these 80 carries. So LGD's front line have to do some heavy lifting this game. I think Haichao and Shaya are going to have very difficult time moving and trying to auto-attack down their carries, the opposing carries in the opposing front line as well. The front line needs to buy space, otherwise this is going to be a lights out game.
Yeah. We've seen 3 games of Camille top in the LPL so far. 2 of them YSKM, 1 of them Cube. All 3 of them convincing victories. They've been against the Cassante and the Jack so far, now up against this Lethality Aatrox. And you may have seen Camille versus Aatrox over the years. But this is quite a different version of the matchup now, just because the items are so different. Aatrox isn't building tank. This is no Gore Drinker Aatrox. This is pure damage. So it does change the face of the matchup.
I think a lot of champions that used to be Aatrox counters are finding it a lot more difficult now. We've seen Yone lose into the Aatrox. We've seen, as you said, stuff like the Camille in different matchups and so we've the likes of that. It changes the matchup a lot because you just get one shot instead of just getting tapped and ran down with Conqueror. Feels like Burdol potentially back onto the Dark Lord of the top lane, as he showed in game 1, potentially could throw a wrench into the plans of LNG.
We've kind of had 2 games here where one player just gets absurdly fed so far. Burdol in game number 1 on this Aatrox, double-digit kills. Gala in game number 2 on this Kai'Sa, double-digit kills. Now for game 3, both of them get their MVP pick. And we'll go toe-to-toe. Xiaoya on this Smolder once again. And we'll see how this composition works out for him, whether he can be protected. I think spotted him there. Gala away though. Oh, WeiWei, sorry. Will start off with the invade. Obviously, deep vision placed there. They can go for the red buff.
When you mentioned Gala and Wei, though, with the Kai'Sa and the Vine,
I know.
That RNG era, I sat there thinking, gosh, it feels like that, you know, Gala was so iconic on that RNG roster. Of course, he won that MSI, multiple MSIs with him. It's
kind of funny to see Gala with WeiWei instead of Wei, but then also Scout in the picture as well. The kind of nemesis of that roster.
Yeah. Gosh.
Red
it's one of those things.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
so we got this. We have this invade coming through, right? Which means that you have to be very careful now in regards to can you even influence this bot lane. One of the big things is always going to be, can you shut down this Smolder? Now, what it is just going to be is an immediate buff steal into the return back into the same side of the jungle from WeiWei. I am somewhat surprised that he didn't go red buff over to red buff and then try and clear his way down the map so he could end up being bot side for a potential level 4 play, but maybe that would have been a little too long in waiting. Either way, Meteor will not get level 4 off of full clear next. He's missing a buff. He has to get something from the other side of the jungle, which means he can't be hovering bot lane to help what happens in this 3v3, potentially, as we tend to see in this matchup.
I mean, if you think back to the previous game as well. Oh, wow. Flash force from JinJiao already. Gives a little thumbs up as well. He knows that he's messed up in that one. Great start by LNG's bottom lane. A flash forced already. We saw the dive in the previous game to try and set this Kai'Sa up for Gala. And again, rooted up, and the passive even proc there onto JinJiao. This is big damage from LNG's side of WeiWei. Moving into the enemy jungle. Oh no. Smites weren't available for either jungler, and it means the chicken actually resets. Now moving to the mid lane as WeiWei. As Haichao will have to try and buffer this stun.
Ooh.
Or in fact, just dodges it instead.
Turns out you don't need to buffer it if you just dodge it altogether. Kai'Sa, Nautilus, this bot lane, there's a reason we keep seeing it. At level 1, Nautilus can go in, get the hook, and then the auto attack, which is 2 stacks of the plasma. Very, very easy to get through into good execute trades very early on, and you can see that JinJiao and Xiaoya, they're playing respectfully around it, but it doesn't stop them losing that summoner all the same. While all this is happening, because the bot lane fracas has happened, Zika and Burdol have an isolated top lane. Zika gets himself okay presence in the early lane. Also from this bot side, early dominance, mid, jungle, support. LNG did this in game 1, doing it again now.
They certainly did. Oh, flash forced. Hung couldn't quite get his auto out first, but either way, you take the mid lane flash, you're very happy with the way that that one has gone. Meteor was not spotted there, which means Hung just walked straight into them. Maybe thought that he was safe on that one. Aftershock will keep him alive for a little bit. Scout gets a shield in. Hung flashes away, but will get away with his life.
It's been a little while since we've seen mid lane be like this, but top lane Burdol, we said it was isolated. It's not anymore. It's fighting across the map.
Yeah, stun comes through, but Burdol walks away with his life. Zika couldn't quite follow up. on the CC. WeiWei getting minion block, lost like 150 HP
Yeah.
just to the minions.
I think if WeiWei had red buff there's a chance that they get the full kill. I think with the slow and the extra damage, there's a chance they could double flash and get the kill on top side, but Burdol walks away. Very strange jungle pathing now as we come through it, as WeiWei hasn't even taken grand majority of top side. He's taken enemy red buff, and he ends up taking Raptors.
He cancelled the auto.
Just unable to get that auto attack. I wonder if he just walked out of range with Haichao at the end of that, but either way, auto attack cancelled, doesn't get the stun.
Yeah, if it started, even if you get out of range, it goes through, right? It's only if vision is denied, so I think he must have cancelled it. So unfortunate there for Hung. And let's be honest, the observers super slow-mowing that, you know that the player messed up. The observers only care for a super slow-mo if somebody messed up.
Also with like particular special effect passes, when you've got the root from the Nautilus auto attack and stuff like that, a lot of the time when it's a special auto attack, over time it's become harder to cancel those autos because it feels particularly unsatisfying when they don't go through. So for instance, it's very hard for Jin fourth shot to be cancelled in the same way, and that yeah, often makes it a lot harder for those situations to come about. But still, I think I'm maybe just not expecting Haichao to just be delivered into melee range and doesn't quite manage to react in time.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. Cull actually picked up here by Gala as well, knowing that he just has the lane advantage down bot, so he can just go for the Cull anyway. Doesn't really negatively impact him. Massive CS lead for him as WeiWei invading onto Meteor here. Wants to get those little chickens as well, but JinJiao is here, punts him back into the play, and actually flash into enemy territory from WeiWei. Twisted advance will find him, knocked in towards Haichao. And you could even give this over to the Smolder if you wanted to. First kill, though, goes to Haichao.
Well, you got yourself 280 carries. Both of them are fairly snowbally in regards to if they get gold. The game does not look very good for the enemy team. Tristana, in particular, really needs to be playing from ahead of the game, so I don't even mind the first kill going over there. Of course, it's not going to be the easiest game for Haichao to play out. You have a bit more counterplay than the Smolder in regards to outplaying the Viol, or even something like the Nautilus as well. You can buffer out of some of that CC. The Viol in particular quite hard to time, so we'll have to see how Haichao plays out that one all the same. LNG needs to start being very careful around these 80 carries and giving them early gold.
So WeiWei just a bit too aggressive on the invade. Was hoping to get out. JinJiao good roam. And great punish. I feel like Xiaoya maybe could have just stayed bot lane, honestly, but I suppose you can't really step up to the wave, so what's the difference? Might as well get that 67 gold assist. So
hey,
at this
he
point,
hits him with like 2
massively
abilities.
fed.
It's like 2 stacks from hitting an enemy champion.
True.
You know, it's all of this extra. You got to keep this stuff in mind, man. This Smolder champion is so much value from just being there. But yeah, I think that Xiaoya, of course, needs to be quite careful of how Hung is playing out the game as well. With Gala getting towards the point of level 6 on those two as well in the next few minutes, so pay attention to how Gala and Hung can get themselves on top of Xiaoya, start trying to pin down this Smolder again. They did it much better in the last game. I remember it was 2 early deaths for that dragon. Even then, Xiaoya walked away with the most damage in the game. It's not quite been the same early game, and that's a little bit concerning from LNG, but it does feel like they have a more concerted team composition to get on top of these carries late game.
So far, so good. See what the late game is going to end up looking like. LGD with that gold lead. The first Drake, though, in favor of LNG. Grub's coming up in a minute and a half, and I feel like that'll be the next sort of point to tussle around. Although that said, maybe Meteor finds his own point to tussle around in that of Zika. Good ward, though. Pops out. Does mean that Meteor gets spotted, so Zika should not go down here. Although the wave in a really awkward spot for him.
WeiWei's on the top side of the map. I think if he really needed to force a crash in, WeiWei could come up and respond to that, especially with Grubs coming in soon. It's absolutely fine for jungler to be on top side of the map. The same. LGD, they have good vision. Level 6 hit from Gala.
Oh boy, JinJiao hooked in. Great flash on the W. And we'll use that killer instinct just to finish the job. A kill onto Gala. An easy 2v2 for LNG.
Toreador, Matador rather, from Gala in that bot side, dodges out on the charge and gets himself into a very good situation now. First kill. It's not necessarily been the lane dominance that we saw from the previous game. He gets himself a plate, gets himself a kill. Also with Xiaoya potentially being denied some CS here as well. Completely fine with that. Still, good value from LNG.
Yeah.
Gala's Kaiser ahead of the game.
And you can see that LGD were like, hang on, they might go for a dive here. Haichao was roaming, Meteor was roaming. The cavalry were on their way to try and save Xiaoya should the dive come through from Gala and Hung. And it does feel like Hung coming into the roster has improved things for LNG. Scout looks for a bit of a trade there. Actually baits out the bomb. Pretty nice trade, honestly, to be able to get it without the follow-up auto attacks.
I think it's worth talking about, of course, the support change from LNG. We haven't really talked about it in this series because it's been a couple now since Hung has come in. It's not like it's been like, this is the series where he's come in to change things. Mark struggled when LNG is starting support, and it felt like after Worlds last year, I think a lot of people kind of realized some of the weaknesses of Hung are he doesn't necessarily start plays where he's very good at following them. Mark is actually a better kind of initiator of them, but when he's with his team in situations like this, he's pretty good at following the plan should LNG have one. And I think that we've seen some of the bonuses to that.
I think that's the most important part of this conversation is, should LNG have a plan, he's good at following it. It's just often, it doesn't really feel like LNG have the plan. I wonder if this Kai'Sa is almost like a band-aid pick for the team, where like Gala can shot call when he's playing on the Kai'Sa. He knows the champion so well, he's so good at this pick that he's happy to shot call how the plays should happen so he can succeed. Whereas on other picks, it felt a little bit more lost.
I think a couple of teams have tried to find different kind of crutches. We've seen Viego be one of them for a great many teams because it's very easy to play out Viego reset comps. Even if you don't know how to set up a fight, you tunnel for one kill and you get yourself kind of the rollover beyond that. We'll talk about that in some of our series later today as well. But if LNG have found their own crutch in this Kai'Sa, we know exactly how good this can be. They're looking potentially for a dive. Xiaoye has no ult now and he has a flash.
And that is an ISO Q. Easy as you like. The TP from Scout to make sure that the minions stayed there. So the tower aggro resets as well. Very nicely done there by LNG. It does mean that they committed a TP to the play. But Scout still trying to move up in time to clear this wave. And actually, Haichao stopped pushing, so Scout will get there in time.
Well, so, potentially just trying to do a bit of a jump scare out of the brush, but LNG wise to their tricks and do not leave their mid lane isolated as he walks back towards it. So LGD, what's their plan? What do they do here? It feels like they're waiting for maybe one item on Tristana. The problem is, Tristana's not really got great ability to push up to one of these towers right now. Zika going to get traded back on, which stops him from pulling that ultimate, potentially looking for all-in onto Burdol. Funnily enough, Burdol has not gone for the Profane Hydra first. Actually, looks like he is going towards Sundered Sky very early on. We did talk about how Lethality Aatrox has changed a lot of these matchups. But he's going towards more tanky just to have that sustain in lane versus the Camille.
It's like, how often do we see the Sundered Sky? Like, very rarely in the LPL. And just as I got a tirade about how they're saying Gore Drinker, I mean, it's about as close to Gore Drinker as you could have got on the Aatrox. LGD starting the Drake, though. Hung in the area. WeiWei on his Wolves right now. It doesn't look like LNG really want to contest particularly.
You know, I can't actually tell you how often we do see the Sundered Sky. It's only in 20% of Aatrox games, whereas the Profane Hydra at almost 90%. You can see how much the build has changed. Yeah, I know. Profane Hydra is
plus 90 is more than 100%.
No. In different games, once you can build them both at the same time. They're not additive.
Yeah.
I can do maths, me.
E-maths good. Just unfortunate about the wording situation.
What do you mean by that?
I was talking about myself. It was a self-roast.
Oh, right. Okay, I missed that. I was
There you
like, dude, I don't know why I'm catching strays here.
Well, I don't know, just crazy cat lady, I guess. I'll leave you with that one.
Maybe later in life. Maybe then. I'll update you on that one, see where the pet situation goes. As it seems like the AD carries being raised up by LGD are not necessarily getting themselves into the point where they can push lanes and be very happy with things. Haichao currently rooted up in mid lane.
Ult onto WeiWei. Denies the follow-up, I think just in time, because you just know that WeiWei's ult was about to be procced himself. As soon as the camera goes to Gala, I'm in like action stations. I'm always ready for Gala to just go crazy, do something insane. Kraken Slayer picked up already as the boots as well. And his Cull's fully stacked. So he's coming online on this Kai'Sa. And to be honest, like, from the point at which Gala picks up, I'd say, like, his Doran's Blade, that's when the Kai'Sa's online for him. So you've got to be ready.
I used to say that, you know, the full build Poppy was at level 3. Turns out Gala is just loading into the Rift. That's where you get the full late game Kai'Sa experience. And LG have been benefiting a lot from that this series. It's taken them a while for them to do a bit of soul searching what we were saying in early split, saying LNG, guys, you got to figure out how you want to play the game. And they'd struggled to do that. Gala's Kai'Sa, pretty easy way to find your way to kind of like the heart of the matter, though. He's done an awful lot of soul searching on that champion before.
Yeah.
Done that to great success.
I'm loving watching this top lane matchup as well. Like, the trades are so fun to watch. There's so many different dashes and things in play. LNG start the Herald. LGD want to contest it, but Gala is here. The whole 5-man squad is here for LNG. Is LGD saying, can we set Herald? Not quite resetting here. Will be smited by LGD. Another heist on the Herald from LGD, just like game 1.
Really good Maokai ult to buy some space. LNG, the name of the game when it comes to players like that is you have to reach the carries early. Mill onto one of them, the Vial onto one of them, and see if you can get Gala assassinating a target, maybe even alongside Scout as well. The Malignance is built up, very high damage coming in from the Karma at this point in the game, but you need to shut down those carries early. If the Maokai ult comes out like that, though, very hard to reach them unless you've already started your initial engage. They don't get it at that fight. I think LNG, it's not something we've always seen from them, but actually realizing when a fight would be a bad fight. They peel off of it.
Yeah, deciding against it for the time being. And I'm curious what the Herald will be used for. My lord, you can see the player gold. Gala almost 1,000 ahead of anyone on the enemy team. That is a lead and a half, isn't it? We'll see if he can continue to snowball that one. Secret answer is yes. Yes, he will, because it's Kai'Sa and it's Gala.
He's going towards the same build as he did last game as well. Kraken Slayer into the Terminus as the second item. It's a really good attack speed burst, whilst also getting you the evolved Q, so you're very, very good at diving in. Also pretty tanky as well, because the Terminus gives you the, yes, the shred, the percent shred, but also the ability to get some extra tankiness for yourself at the same rate. So it means that a little easier for him to go into the fray, into the heat of battle, and hopefully come out the other side of it doing quite well for himself.
And it's quite nice that you're against this Alistair too. You're against the what's going to be tank Maokai. So you have targets that you can kind of stack that Terminus up on before you then go for the ultimate and try and go for the assassination. So you can build that damage up before the actual assassination play. That is if, you know, WeiWei doesn't just get an ult onto Xiaoya, in which case we're flying in. We're going for that one.
All signs are go. And we'll have to see how much Zika can do on this Camille to help out with that combo too. Dragging up in 30 seconds. He's currently pushing in the bot side. Trading really well with his passive because he's against an AD champion. He can use that adapted defensive to tank a tower shot. And he has shield bash, which means he gets himself a really good auto with the Triforce as well as he goes into it. Currently going on to Burdol, who pops that ult. There's that shield.
Burdol low. Gala's kind of jumped into the Aatrox damage here and he was tanking
the
tower as well.
Gala, no!
Huge misplay from Gala, uncharacteristic in the knockback. The roots all land. Burdol with a double, and he's looking for more as well. Burdol, take a bow. Quadra kill on the Aatrox.
Oh my god, he does not miss a beat from the first game. 4 kills for the top laner of LGD out of nowhere. He slaps LNG where they stand. They throw the Herald into bot turret. They can get themselves likely a dragon towards the bot side as well. And LNG, after all the signs are so positive for them, absolutely throw under the bot lane turret. This is disaster for them.
Magnificent fight from Burdol, and I think it started with Gala ulting straight into the Q2. I feel like that was like the beginning of the end for this play for LNG. So many at home, I'm sure, were hyped for this, but LGD turned things around.
Zika goes in with a passive shield. These are good things, but then Gala takes aggro and doesn't realize he's going to die to the warmed up turret shot. Beyond that point, you can see that the Camille ult hasn't been pulled under this turret as well. So you're sat there thinking, well, okay, the lockdown's not come through. Burdol's completely free to maneuver around. And Gala and the rest of the team's turret aggro juggling was really quite poor in that situation.
It's quite funny as well, the latter half of that play. Just watching Burdol literally just auto-attack everyone. Like, how often do you see an Aatrox multi-kill that is them just one-shot, or not even one-shotting, just like last-hitting people across the fight. Fantastic start to the play from Burdol, though. Well played to get the CC down. And great punish on this massive misplay. And also, we see the value of the Maokai in this composition, too. The triple root coming out.
For sure. And when it came around to that last round of picks, you're saying you have to have something that can be disruptive to the enemy dive as your last pick here. And this Meteor Maokai has done an awful lot of good work with it as well. just quickly hinting on what Burdol's doing with this, you know, with the build and how he played this out as well. The Sundered Sky with the auto attacks gives you a load of healing, and given that tenacity and the bloodline runes in your precision tree are kind of weak nowadays, a lot of Aatroxes have started running the attack speed Legends runes. They go for the Legends Alacrity to give you the extra attack speed. So you have your passive, you have the attack speed, and then you also have Conqueror and the Sundered Sky, which actually means you can get caught off guard quite easily now in fights like that. Where actually, yeah, before you might not have seen so many Aatrox auto attacks. He slaps right now with them.
Yeah, he really does. And LNG finding that out firsthand here.
Yeah.
And do you know?
Painful.
This is one of the first Smolder games I've cast where I'm not just talking about Smolder stacks the entire time. We've not really checked in with Xiaoye in a long old while. I've no idea how many stacks he's on, but it's usually at this point you're getting very close to that fateful 2-2-5. Just clearing those waves, you can pretty much two-shot them at this stage. Baron now onto the map. But importantly, 2 Drakes for LGD, next one in 2.5 minutes, and you expect them to be the favorite for those Drakes at this point. It's down to LNG to prove that wrong.
And now the real difficulty is, LNG at the start of this game, well, before the Quadra kill, we'll just leave it there. That's the little benchmark in this game. Their job was, the mission briefing was close down the AD carries. Yeah, now you got to do that against the Profane Hydra, Sundered Sky, Burdol, Aatrox coming out of the top lane as well. There are 3 carries that can single-handedly win this game if they are left alone to do decent damage. Both these AD carries can do that if they're stood behind the Maokai ult, the Maokai himself, and the Alistar ulting. And then particularly with that top lane as well. LNG now have 3 targets to close down, and I don't think they have the stats to do so. They would really like to get themselves a pick before the fight really comes through, but they've not been great at setting up that in this split or in this series. So it's going to have to be a lot of learning on the fly from them to try and not just go straight into a 5v5 they're destined to lose.
Yeah, I've just noticed Xiaoye only 156 stacks at 21 minutes, so he's still quite a long way away from the execute on the Smolder here. Luckily for him, this has been a very slow-paced game, so even though he's still quite a way away from the execute, it's not probably going to matter too much. He should have time to scale up there. You've got 2 items on Haichao too. You've got 2 items on Burdol. His carries are slowly but surely coming online for LGD. It does feel like a reasonably easy to play composition as well for LGD. I think that's one of the big benefits. Whereas for LNG, the dive compositions, while conceptually like a simple thing to talk about, often getting that coordination right and making the dives work out for your team can be a little bit more difficult to achieve. And especially on a team like LNG, who synergy has been one of their biggest issues. I do wonder what that's going to look like in the late game.
And you don't exactly... Well, a lot of the time you smooth over those cracks by having someone very fed. And, you know, Gala had that in the last game. We've had that with Scout in the past as well. You know, actually, something we should mention here too is that because Azir's been disabled, we should have mentioned this in draft realistically, Scout's best champion has been Azir by a country mile. It's his most played in his career by a country mile. The fact that he can't even draw a ban from that has potentially affected LNG and their carry potential from mid lane as well. As Scout, on something like this Karma, he can't do that same degree of carrying, even though this champion is pretty okay, you know, right now, even after the nerfs. I feel like they've managed to survive as a pretty decent damage and carry. It's not really going to be what LNG need to solo win a team fight in the way that Azir can.
Certainly not. Can't make those hero plays on Karma. You can chunk people, but that's about all you're bringing to the table in the offensive department at very least. We'll see what Scout can do. There's now Drake up onto the map, and LGD, as we said, should be the ones, at least with Prio, but feels like LNG want to contest for this one. Drake down to 9k already. They burned through this pretty quick on the side of LGD.
Cannon engage coming from LNG. Zika doesn't have a flank teleport. He has 1 control ward, which LGD see. They should know the angles of Zika can come in. Here come the ults.
Drake comes through. Burdol the target here for the side of LNG, but they've not finished him off fast enough, and WeiWei's just going to go down. This could be a Baron angle, honestly, if the fight doesn't turn around. Zika gets onto the back line, but will just be blown to smithereens. Haichao with a double, and Baron potentially on the cards.
LNG throw 2 point-and-click ultimates at Burdol, but it means that they don't have the CC for the rest of the fight. They don't even kill this Aatrox, and they lose a really pretty important fight here. It means that they're going to be losing position on the map. They lose that mid lane turret, and they lose a lot of gold too. Xiaoye can just run away. He doesn't lose anything there either. This Aatrox being ahead of the game is absolutely terrible news for LNG, because you can see how they've changed their team fights to try and accommodate for it, but they don't have the stuff to take them down right now.
And if you're focusing everything on the Aatrox, Smolder's on the enemy team, well, good luck to you. 20 stacks away from, or 26 stacks away from the execute now.
There you go, you can do the maths.
I did it. I did it. Drake gonna go the way of LGD to start the play, which means Soul Point as well.
Well, look at this. File. Just a bit after this too. Nautilus Salt. You're using all of your point-and-click ultimates on the Aatrox. You didn't want to have to do that this game. And it means that you just can't play around shutting down a single carry and then having the lethal tempo Terminus stacking Kai'Sa, dealing the damage difference in the rest of the fight. It's such a different kind of terrain to work towards with LNG now. It's very difficult for them.
I really felt like that was a Baron angle for LGD as well, off of that play. Like, you've got the jungler, you got the top laner as well, you've got health advantage. Gala had no ultimate. Also, I think the most important thing that Burdol did was the threat onto Gala. The reason the WeiWei had to go for the ult on Burdol is he'd already forced the ult out from Gala and maybe was just going to one-shot the AD carry. So it was a little bit tough for LNG, but crucially, LGD don't go for any kind of Baron play. I mean, it might have been a bit risky, but I like those kind of risky plays. When you've got the smite, they don't.
Oh no,
like.
you, the historic LPL caster that's loved all the no, I couldn't have guessed that.
Look, I'm just saying FPX would have gone for the Baron. That's all I'm saying. We'll find that out if that's true later on today. They'll be playing up against BLG. It's a series I'm very excited to see. That'll be up after this game. 2-8 on the standings for LGD, and they are desperate for that hat-trick. They are desperate for that third win. As the gauntlet begins for them. We talked about their schedule earlier on today, how tough the schedule has been so far and how it's becoming easier for them. Their miraculous playoffs run theoretically still possible, although extremely unlikely.
And on the other side, LNG, they lose this game. They don't have the easiest schedule coming through the rest of this either. There are a couple of names scattered in there, and you think, yeah, you know, it's going to be a little bit rough. They have to face against IG, they have to face against Team WE, they're beatable, but if you're losing to LGD here, it puts you behind the curve of where you would have expected. Now we do get ourselves towards the objective. LGD has spent up all of their gold from the previous fight, and they are ready to tangle again.
Oh boy, WeiWei on the other side of the wall, please do not 50-50 this LGD as we go in. Gala puts it into the team and annihilated. See you later, LNG. LGD sure working that fight.
This is not the victory lap that LNG would have liked from game 2 with Gala's Kai'Sa. Last game, 10 kills, doing such a good job of controlling the pace of the game. This has not really been the same scenario. Xiaoya, he's going to be the one who's going to start take off into late game now. As all really this fight started from JinJiao picking out the AD carry. No flash, no hope, and now you suddenly got the Baron. You're going to have a huge amount of gold to spend. Third item starting to be hit as well by your carries. LNG, this felt like your last chance to really make something of it. But Gala walking up like this, you have no flash, you had no ult to really dodge that one out of either. He just goes down for free.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe didn't realize JinJiao had flash up. That's the only thing I can think of, because I don't know why. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the classic wisdom. If you mess with the bull, you get the horns, all right? JinJiao, boy, does he know how to use them. Fantastic flash play from JinJiao, sets up the pick and sets up the fight. That's Baron now. It's a 5k cold lead for LGD. And LNG now overloading the top side of the map. Maybe they can find a pick onto Burdol. It'd be better than nothing. A 3-man play here. Can they finish the Aatrox off? That's a lot of healing. But finally, kill goes down. Shut down for Zika. Trade for a tier 2 in the bot side.
Okay, so that's going to stop one part of the Baron push, but you use 2 of your big shutdown ultimates for it. So you're not going to have the ability to stop Haichao from running onto this turret. You're not going to have the ability to stop the other group. So while it is a single kill, you do not have great ability to shut them down now.
Man advantage on the map as the tower goes down, but Xiaoya yet to be touched in this fight, just chilling on the backside, throwing out these Qs, dodges the Q from Scout as well. Feels like it's hard for LNG to actually commit to anything here.
They use
this
their
will
ults.
be mid-inhib, that's all of their ults down like you say, and it'll be 2 inhibs in fact for LGD in a 4v5.
But what do you think's going to happen? You just used all of your shutdown ults onto Burdol. You can't hit the AD carries now, and this is the issue. If you have to use them on the Aatrox, you can't shut down the late game Tristana and the Smolder. What do you do now?
Xiaoya flying towards the enemy team there. Little bit controversial positioning, but he gets away with it, so we're okay. Gala getting some damage down onto the front line. trying to do what he can, but these cannons are just going to end the game unless LNG find a way in, and it's a great little bait from Xiaoya using the Zhonyas, and it means Meteor dives onto that backside. Last tower down, Hung finished off by the Elder Dragon. And that's going to be that. LGD, they start their miracle run. Perhaps a miracle run is too early to call it, but a quadra kill for Xiaoya and a 2-1 victory in LNG's home arena.
Feels like one of the few Smolder games where it wasn't really about the Smolder. Honestly, Burdol continues to impress me. This top laner has been a huge point of pressure and damage for LGD when they have been winning games. Both of his Aatrox games, exceptional. I think at this point we have run enough games with this guy on the Aatrox, building the lethality. Ban it. If you think it's possible for him to play it, you ban it. Just don't let him have this. He's so important to his team. And LGD walk away going into their third series victory only. Now, a lot of people would look at that 2-8 series and look at these teams and say, oh, well, surely LNG should win this. We have continually harped on and on about how this team can